Hello creatives, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Angela. I'm a graphic designer and an illustrator, and this is my series called 12 Designs of Christmas. I do this, I think I've done it for the past 3 years, and it's basically 12 designs leading up to Christmas time. For this year, we're going into art history, design history, and even a little bit of typography history. And we're doing the last 12 decades in design, creating new designs every single day. So we're gonna dive into the 1950s today with all the movie stars. So all the glitz, all the glam, or maybe not so glam, because all the movies then were like The Invisible Woman and The 50-Foot Woman and all this stuff where it was like kind of scary and like, whoa. We're going to be in Photoshop on the iPad today, and we are going to create a very creepy movie poster from the 1950s. So I'm going to be putting a lot of imagery together, and we're also going to stay within the similar style of the 1950s, and we're going to use all of the imagery and the typography from that time. So if you guys really like these types of videos, especially Photoshop videos with a little bit of history, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on your notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video, because it's pretty much going to be every other day in December at this point. And what do you guys think of my decorations? I kind of went all out for the Christmas season. Let's dive into Photoshop. I am on the iPad. I'm going to create a new document, and since we're going to be making a movie poster, this is going to be kind of like a kitsch Christmas movie poster type thing, although not super kitsch. Kitsch was very popular in the 50s, and it was very like rough, like raw lines and like almost like hand painted, kind of like charcoal like everywhere. But then you have the movie posters, which were very like photographed and very like dramatic, and you had all like this bold fonts everywhere and such like that, and it was very just drama. So we're gonna go with that, and we're going to do a poster. Let's go into print and go into poster. Where's poster? Tabloid, 11 by 17. There we go. Create our artboard. Now has been some, oh, there you go. There's been some updates to Photoshop. I have not reviewed this yet, but Dodge and Burn is now here, which is great. We have a new tool over here on the left toolbar. Awesome, love that. So I'm going to pull in some photographs that I want to create together to make a very dramatic movie poster from the 50s. There is going to be a little bit of a catch with this. It is going to be, well, not really a catch, but it's all Christmas themed, as you can probably tell from my last 4 videos. If you haven't watched them, the playlist is linked down in the description down below for you all. And I kind of wanted to make this Christmas themed as well, even though there wasn't a lot of Christmas themed films that I found for the 1950s. But since it's very dramatic and there was a lot of fear-induced dramatized movies during that time, I figured we could do a version, like a 1950s version of Krampus, because Krampus is, I believe it's based from Germany. It's a German anti-Santa, and it's very creepy. Like, I didn't even watch the films. There's 2, I think, and I was like, no. But I figured that we can make a movie poster out of it. So let's get into this. Now, for the movie posters themselves, a lot of the backgrounds for some reason were either extremely dark or very bright yellows and reds to create drama and tension. So within color theory, a lot of the dramatic colors were usually bright colors like orange, yellow, red, and then they muted them with blues and blacks and such like that. So let's make some new layers in here just so we can have some for our photographs. And I'm going to take existing photos. I'm going to kind of do like a composite. So I'm going to import photos, and I have some photos here. I have this really cool photo of Krempus here. I do believe this is from part of the movie film that I found. The next layer, import a photo, and I'm going to import this type of photo. I do have a few versions of Krampus here. However, I don't know which one I'm going to quite use yet for a different version of Krampus that was this Krampus creepy. There we go. All right, let me move her layer up and let's get into creating this movie poster with this poor scared woman. I do believe her name is, well, look at that. They didn't even put her name in on the poster. Oh, Paulette Goddard. There we go. Paulette Goddard. There you are. I'm going to use her, and we're going to create this very spooky, creepy type of dark side of Christmas movie poster with 1950s fonts. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose this third selection here, which is like a lasso selection tool, and I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to just draw over her form here. I want this white as well. And I'm just going to cut her out of this photo here. I chose this style because it seemed very similar to the kind of style that I want to create. I cut off a little bit more of her hair here. But let's see, there we go. There are different modes here as well. This is the basic selection here. Then you have the additional selection, so you can add to your selection if you didn't select it all in the first go. And then you have the take away, and then you have the divide, so the division of it. Take our selection. We're going to invert, so it selects everything except for her. And then we're going to erase. And then boom, there she is. Let's deselect. Here she is. I'm going to take this white section here and I'm going to make it black instead, just to go with the colors of the film here. You can always choose colors from your photos by selecting either the eyedropper tool or the color icon over here, and you can select the eyedropper there, and that way you can have your colors. I'm going to make this more of the same color as her. I'm going to take our brush tool. So she has lots of texture around her. She's very scared. And I feel like this photo, I'll remove the boy. I feel like this photo here is a lot more within the same like textures and lines rather than this one. However, I really do like this one. But I think this one's kind of more appropriate for like the time period and the color. So let's transform this one, make it a bit bigger, make it look like he's more attuned to wanting to. He looks very creepy. My goodness. Let's get this little boy out of here. The little boy doesn't need to be here. Let's choose our spot healing brush tool. I did showcase this tool in a previous video that is not part of this series, but it is over in my Photoshop series. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll have it linked somewhere. So with the spot healing brush tool, you really want to make sure that you do smaller sections and you pull a lot from what you want the spot healing brush tool to pull from. So this is not looking like it's going to do exactly what I want it to do. It's a little bit easier to create this type of work on the desktop version. However, it is possible on the iPad. You can also use the clone stamp tool. Clone stamp tool is a little bit tricky in this version. However, you can get away with it. There is a selector here, and you can select your section of where you want to pull information from, and then you can start drawing with your brush. Let's go back to her. I'm going to increase her size just a little bit because she's looking real scared. There we go. Okay, she just needs to be a little bit bigger. I have a feeling that I kind of want to increase the size of him as well. Just a bit to make it look like he's there. There we go. Alright, and then I want to do a bit of a... Oh, smart objects have come. Yay! Alright, we have smart objects now. Okay, got it. Alright, let's add a clipped adjustment. We're going to do exposure and make him quite a bit darker here. We are going to lose a little bit of the details with him. just slightly. And then for her, let's choose a clipped adjustment as well for her. We're gonna do another exposure. Take her down a little bit, even though she's supposed to be bright. I don't want her to be too bright. Add another one. We'll do a bit more of a color balance with her. Add more red to her. This is kind of setting up really nicely for the poster. All right, and now we're going to get into the fonts. Now the fonts are going to be, there's a mix of fonts during this time. So there's some really bold movie style fonts, and then there's more fonts that are very, almost like classical, because the fonts during this time, especially like the main one that was really popular was Palatino. And Palatino is one of the most famous fonts, as well as like Michelangelo font. There was also the Delphine font family, and there was also the Berling font family. And you also had some of the Futura font family in there as well for this time period. So I'm going to take some of those fonts, see which one's going to work better. I don't need this one to be there. I'm going to choose the type tool over here, and I'm on a new layer. I wanted to make it bold, so let's see. Krampus. Can't see it. Let's change the color. Red. Now, it has it as default Times New Roman, but Times New Roman wasn't during this time period. Oh, also, there was another font made by Hermann Zapf. I think, was it Palatino? No, it couldn't have been. Yes, it was Palatino. Okay, so Palatino was a font created in the 1950s by Hermann Zapf. And if you know anything about typography, Hermann Zapf's name should sound pretty familiar because he created a font much later called Zapfino. Zapfino is one of the default fonts that is in the Adobe programs. So, fun fact, he created both, but there's like decades in between. There's Zapfino here, but I don't really want to use Zapfino. I want to use something a little bit more to the time period. So let's do, let's see. There is Palatino. It is very classical. However, there's also Futura. Futura just doesn't look scary enough, does it? It's very bold for like the secondary font that I'm going to put in here, I think. So let's just go with Palatino. Increase the font size here. I also want to give it a stroke. Small caps. Yeah, let's do small caps. All this you can find under the properties panel for your layer properties. I'm just going to choose done for now, but I'm not done with it because I do want to, here we go. Do bold. We'll do bold. There we go. During the 1950s, they did have like some like very interesting like linear gradients on their fonts. So I kind of want to do that too. However, it's not really, you can't do gradients in Photoshop on the iPad. But let's see. I could do a brush stroke on top of it. Do some brush strokes on top. Let's choose a brush that has some texture to it. Pattern texture, I think. Make it look really kind of dramatic. Because there were textures flying across not only like subject matter, like characters, but also along some of the typography a little bit as well. So I wanted to showcase that. And I also want to showcase a deep red on here too. Have to be a bit more careful here. Let's get this really grungy looking. Make it look very dramatic. That's starting to look really good. I think the R needs a bit more. Alright, and now we can take this and we can make it a clipping mask. There we go, and I just added it as a clipped adjustment to the font so that it only encompasses within the font itself by pressing this icon, and that way it looks a little bit more dark and sinister. I do feel like this needs to be a bit bigger. There we go. Alright, so now we have Krmapus. We'll create a new layer and we'll do a secondary font over here. For our secondary font, I thought it might be nice to have that bold look of Futura here. So let's choose Futura. There are a lot more fonts that were dominating during this time. However, Futura just seems to work very well for this. We do dark red or should we do like a yellow? Because they use yellow a lot. They also use like oranges and whites. I think, let's select the color of her hair, I think. My pool. Let's take it up a notch by making it brighter. Can't even see. There we go. All right, done. I'm gonna move you over here, make you a lot bigger. I think I'm also gonna rotate this. I'm gonna add another text layer. There we go. If you don't want to have to press shift on your keyboard all the time, you can go into your properties panel of your font and then just choose all caps. Like if you select it all, choose all caps, it goes to all caps. Small caps does an initial cap and then the rest is all small if there's differentiating sizing. However, this one doesn't have it, so I'm just gonna do all caps for this one. Increase the size of this. Move this over. We could probably move this one. Make this a bit smaller. Move this one, make it slightly bigger. Can we make it slightly bigger? Nope, okay. We're gonna have to make this one slightly smaller then. So it's around the same size. Okay, he's coming. Krmapus. So we're gonna do the same effect with the brush tool as we did with Krmapus. Now let's choose our brush tool. Instead of doing red, I'm gonna do a very similar color to this, but it's gonna be dark. And this is on this one. And then we're just going to clip it to the text layer underneath so it looks like it works pretty well. And then we're going to do the same thing to the text layer, just add a new layer. We're going to do the same thing. You can also hide your dockets by tapping on the icons. The layers icon is right there, so you can just tap on it again, it'll disappear. And I'm not being super careful with this at all because you can just clip it to the layer beneath. Now they didn't do a lot of texture on their fonts during that time. However, because this is Krampus, kind of like remastered from 1950s, I figured it would be still pretty cool to do. So this looks really, really cool. But I wonder if I could do like a naughty or nice type thing. That would be really fun. All right, let's do a new layer. I'm gonna go back to our text tool. Let's go back to that Palatino. I can't see what I'm doing. There we go. I'm gonna do a deeper red, more saturated, deeper red. You're probably wondering why I'm doing so many reds. It's just because it's Krmapus. That's the only reason. I'm gonna do small caps for this one here and for this one. Move this. See, we want to make it move and make sense. So I think I'm going to put this here. I think I need to move Krampus and make it bigger. This is a Krampus? Yeah. Need to be bigger. There we go. Move him up here. You can select multiple layers in Photoshop by holding down the touch selector over here and selecting them. Press the X to deselect all of them at the top. Lighting of this is not where it needs to be. There we go. I feel like this needs to be a bit bigger. 85, 88, 90, 92, 93. There we go. All right, that's much better. You better be nice. Krampus is coming. Let's look at this font here. I think the color of it itself probably needs to be more of like an actual yellow instead of so much of a gold. Do it like that, I think. You know, there's still no swatches in this program. I kind of wish there were because having to do this over and over and over again is quite annoying. So I'm going to take the code 539690. This program really needs swatches. Would I say 539690? There we go. You better be nice, Krampus. I feel like the better be nice is a bit too large. Let's take it down slightly. And let's rotate it slightly because all of their fonts were really like quite on an angle and always like all over the place. So we have Better Be Nice and He's Coming. You know, I feel like this needs to be turned the other way. There's another one here. Okay. And then let's move it like so. Let's rotate this more. And then we can even increase this slightly. So they kind of, it's like pointing towards him, pointing towards her, like he's coming, scary. I think that for her, there's a little bit more of an adjustment that needs to be made here. What's exposure? Some more gamma. There we go. There we go. There is our 1950s spooky movie poster. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you thought of this, and if you guys did like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. And I will see you all in my next video for the 1960s. And I will see you soon, creatives.